We are live. Welcome everybody. My name's Jason. Welcome to Smith's Forge Gaming. We've got a cool little fright fest for you, I hope. Going forward here with some pretty great players from the wonderful group over at Absolute Tabletop official group on Facebook. Go check them out. Like I said, my name is Jason. Welcome to the channel. I want to pass over some introductions here. So we're going to start with Mr. Dave Hubble here.
Hey folks, I'm Dave with Mornblade Gaming, and happy to be playing with these individuals today. Today I bring Rodney Gregory III. He is a kind of a harrowed individual. He appears to have a dark cloud over him, if you will, and he seems to have a problem with talking to himself. Imagine that. Hopefully it won't come across as just something humorous and hilarious, but yeah, he's a cleric of the Arcana domain, and that will be me today.
Thank you, Dave. Make sure you check him out at Morning Blade Gaming over on YouTube. And Jason.
Hello, hello. I am the other Jason Osorio with Concepts and Characters.
Do me a favor. I need the book. Oh, am I not
Yeah,
muted?
you're not muted.
Damn it. Sorry.
It's all good. Yeah, Jason Osorio, Concepts and Characters, and today I will be playing the Tiefling Blood Hunter, Granny Blades. Her true name is Chance, and she's an older Tiefling, about 55 years old. She considers herself to be something of a folk hero. Apparently, she spent a lot of time on the road hunting creatures and helping the common folk. Whether that's actually the case or she's just a hero in her own mind, we will certainly find out. And I am looking forward to this game, faux show.
We're going to go over to Karen Davies.
Hi, I'm Karen Davies. I'm going to be playing Verity Johnson. She's a human rogue, a young girl, just on her way here, having heard about this grisly happenings, and wants to put it into it. What she's going to do.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Karen. We're going to go over to Leah, my lovely wife.
Hey everyone, I'm playing a mountain dwarf barbarian. Her name is Hilda, and she's kind of really quiet until she gets mad. That's about it.
All right. That was Leah, and we're going to go over to Baron.
Yeah, sorry for my interruption before. I thought I was muted while on a different page. But I'm Baron. I got the YouTube channel RWD Gaming. I got live plays on there right now. Hope to get some other videos up there soon. I'm playing Nathaniel York, who is a fighter cavalier. He's kind of new to the whole adventuring gig. He's had one run-in with a monster before, and it didn't exactly end well per se, but it's inspired him to do good in the world. So whatever that may be.
All right, introductions out of the way. We're going to go ahead and jump right into this. The set is going to be coming into a forest clearing just a little ways off of a well-traveled road outside of a farming community. This group has set up camp earlier in the day to hunt whatever has murdered a farming family not far from here. They're gathered around the campfire, bracing themselves from the fall chill. The haunting scene of what they witnessed earlier in the farmhouse was grotesque by anybody's standards. The family was just completely ripped apart. And as we settle into the camp, we come first to a grizzled-looking character from a faraway port town who's come to make more of a name for himself and hopefully spread a little more good in the world than what he's seen so far in his rough life. Dave, tell me what you're thinking of.
So Rodney is actually very, at the moment, he's very thoughtful. He seems to be, he keeps pulling out a book and then flipping through to a page, and like he's trying to find an answer or something, and puts it back, and his hands begin to shake, and he's just, I've seen this before. No, and it wasn't like, no, it was different. Don't tell me it wasn't. Tell me. And he's pulling out the books and he's looking at them like, I know it's in here somewhere. And he just finally puts the book back, and his final book, and he just stops and he's like, he stops and he closes his eyes and considers the scene once again, as difficult as it is. Can you give me a medicine check, maybe, to recall what he saw and try to piece together what the rending originated from, maybe?
This would be really easy in your expertise.
Okay.
You have seen this before. Not that long ago, just outside of the town city gates where you reside, local sheep herds were attacked, and a similar claw and bite mark had completely ripped apart a little lamb, and you were sure as day that this was some kind of a wolf attack. You're convinced that it was a wolf that somehow had gotten in, although you're not quite sure how just a beast of a wolf would rip apart an entire family the way that you witnessed earlier this morning. Now, Granny, you sit across the fire from him, watching as he speaks to himself. What's going through your mind as you look past the campfire?
So Chance, or Granny Blades, as she has come to be known by the common folk of the area, she sort of shifts her slightly rusted scale mail armor, sort of rattling as she shifts back and forth, taking a closer look at at Rodney, noticing him muttering to himself and flipping through his book. And she sort of tucks this wispy strand of silvery gray hair behind one pointed ear, and frowns a little, which emphasizes the wrinkles on her face. She is an older woman, probably in her mid-50s, and a tiefling woman. And she looks up at you, Gregory, and just says very quietly, "Is everything all right? You seem a little unsettled, my friend. Surely you have seen similar," and she pauses and looks over in the direction of where the town was, "similar scenes in the past. The world is a dangerous place." And she smiles, which again emphasizes the laugh lines and the crow's feet on her face.
Sorry, I was distracted by fur. What was it that Granny had said?
So she just said that surely you had seen similarly horrific scenes in the past in your travels throughout the world, since the world is a dangerous place.
Oh, right. He's like, what? No, what? I'm not sure what gave you that impression.
And she taps the side of her nose and then kind of scratches at the base of one of her black horns, and she says, "I have seen many things, my friend. You have a similar look, I think."
This was different. These seemed to be more natural. The marks, they appear to be canine in appearance, and obviously the bite marks appear to have the jowl of a wolf, and the claw marks appear to be from the front paws and so on. And clearly the impressions left on the way that the death riggers, the strictures upon the scratch marks and deep. Yes, it was wolf rather than it was wolf. What do you think?
And Granny smiles, her completely black eyes twinkling in the light of the fire. She looks over to you, Hilda, and says, "What do you think, dwarf? This one, he blathers too much. You say too little. What do you think?"
I think that perhaps an animal was made to attack these people. Why else? Why else would an animal do this? And not leave? Why would an animal leave the bodies and just do that? It just doesn't seem natural to me.
Temperance, or I'm sorry, I said your wrong name. Verity, as they're conversing about the possibilities of what could have done this, you kind of feel a chill settle in deeper than what should be normal for this time of year. As you start to look around, you notice a thick fog coming from the direction that you traveled from. It's all vision past it, and bringing with it a coldness like the grave. It is unsettling the closer this gets. How do you react to this?
So at this point, Verity has been sitting kind of a little off from the fire. She's got her back leaning up against a tree, and she's been kind of staring down at her hands and thinking and not really listening too much of what's going on. But as she hears Rodney mention that it was wolf, she kind of looks up a little bit, and you can see she wipes her blue eyes. It might have been tears. You're not quite sure what's going on. But that distraction of it being a wolf, she realizes that this mist, and she shivers from this chill that she's experiencing, and she's like, she gets up and comes closer to the fire because it's really cold, and she looks down at Nathaniel and says, do you feel it too? It's gotten really cold.
And almost on cue, you would see Nathaniel kind of like pulling his jacket a little tighter. His eyes very distant, as if he's just miles away, staring into the fire, kind of chewing on some like jerky of some kind. I did feel it. Got quite chilly all of a sudden, and the fog's moving in.
It don't seem natural.
I'd have to agree with you there, Mom.
Rodney, have you ever met something or seen anything like this?
Who? You're talking to me?
Yeah, you're the only one named Rodney, aren't you?
Yeah, that's my birth name, yes. And I've seen some things that were similar but different. A massacre. I don't like to talk about it, but
No,
it wasn't.
I'm not the mist.
Oh, I'm sorry, the mist. My mind was somewhere else, and it's no, it's not. Stop. I have seen something similar to this, but Jeremy, Jason, rather, I would imagine that he's probably experienced something similar to the mist that's coming in, but maybe not the exact same thing. And I think that we need to be wary. I believe that there is foul afoot, and he clutches his shield to himself and begins to mutter like a prayer. And I think that we should, against my better judgment, I think that we have to we have to go to the mist.
As Rodney is whispering his prayer, Barry, you looking around, almost hear the faintest sounds of other voices coming from the woods themselves. You can't really see anything, and you're not even sure to yourself if you heard what you heard. But it seemed like you heard voices of revelry, some kind of gathering of people. You're not really sure what you heard.
Could I roll some kind of perception check to see if I could maybe catch like the stray word or a cry or something? Try to hear a little more clearly.
Absolutely.
All right. First roll of the game, go. Not off to a great start with a 4.
Yeah, you heard nothing. You do notice that Verity is looking around in the opposite direction of the mist itself. For the first time, you notice the mist closing in. It is coming in from the south. From the road itself, it is just stopped. And you see the dirt path and not much more than that, and a dead silence.
So I think Granny will look at the group and sort of smile as she stands up, slowly revealing this like stump of a bluish gray tail that comes out kind of from her leather breeches, and she is going to draw her longsword and just say to her companions, "I think we should get moving. Whether we go towards the mist or away from it, it does not matter. I think," and she sort of shrugs, "I think it would be best if we head towards the danger. That way we come to grips with it quicker. If you have a task that needs doing, better get it done than try to avoid it."
And how did the rest of you react to this?
So Verity is grabbing her short sword in one hand, and she's got her hand on it with a dagger, and she's going to back up, I guess, towards the mist versus towards where she heard the noises, and she's going to go towards some sort of brush or bush covering so that she can potentially hide.
Okay. Verity, the closer you get to the mist, the cold, it feels it's cutting right through every piece of clothing that you've got. It is sinking into your bones. Not only that, it's not just a physical cold. As you get closer to this, you feel a sense of dread, and it just gets stronger the closer you stand to this. As you notice that she is visibly shaking at this point. She is ducked behind a bush, and she is just shaking like a leaf on the wind on one of these trees in the fall breeze.
Nathaniel would get up and kind of kind of throw the strap of his musket over his shoulder and walk over to Verity and hand her his blanket from his pack, kind of as a joke, but kind of serious. You may need this if you're cold already. We've got to go. I think that's what Granny is saying would be best, and I think I agree.
At that moment, just up the road, you hear a loud crash of wood and leaves being disrupted. Whatever is moving through it is moving super fast. You couldn't catch any kind of a visual on anything, but it sounds like something big just moved from one side of the road to the other. And Verity, the voices that you heard before have now ceased, as the noise of the woods is just deafening in the silence surrounding the campsite now.
So as Nathaniel hands her the blanket, she takes it with the hand that was on her dagger, and she grabs it from him and she's like, "Shh! There's somebody here. We're not alone."
Was this crash loud enough for like the whole group to hear, or was this?
Oh yeah, this doesn't even require any kind of a roll. This was very loud. It's like something moved across a pile of dead wood on the ground and snapping the sticks.
So I think without not necessarily not hearing Verity, just kind of immediately snapping to this noise from up the path with this blanket outreach as she takes it. I might even look to whomever in the party I would consider like our melee or head first into combat kind of person. Look them in the eye and kind of look back and kind of maybe even prepare or start heading that way to see what the hell that was, with my rifle kind of readied now.
Hilda's going to squint her eyes and nod in understanding as she pulls out both of her axes, but she remains quiet.
Yeah, and Rodney actually is muttering to himself. He says, thy soul shall find itself alone mid dark thoughts of the gray tombstone, not one of all the crowd to pry into thine hour of secrecy." He's sort of muttering to himself, cadenced words as he steps forward, and he runs his hand across the shield that he carries, and you see this light start emanating from it. "And by the light I bless thee." And he lays his hand upon Verity, offering a blessing, and then quickly walks over to Nathaniel, doing the same, and looks between Hilda and Chance, and considers Hilda the better option because he kind of shrinks away from the horns. And he, again, casts his warm-touched hand that's kind of lit to her shoulder as you feel the blessing come upon you. Be silent in thy solitude, which is not in loneliness for them, the spirits of the dead who stood in life before they began. And he's just kind of trails off like he's muttering a poem to himself or something.
And Granny, who had already taken out her longsword, watches Rodney sort of come towards her and then think better of it and go towards Hilda. And she just shakes her head and looks at the dwarf and says, I think you should lead us, Hilda. Let us go forth and deal with this danger. As I said, if there's a task that needs to be doing, better to do it than try to avoid it.
Very well. Follow me, everybody. And Hilda starts walking forward towards the mist.
And almost on cue, in the distance, all of you hear the low howl of a wolf. And then in answer, further down into the woods, another. Before you know it, there is a cacophony of howls, followed by terrified screams, and something awful is happening just into the woods. What do you do?
I think Granny, upon hearing the screams, is going to break whatever formation we were in, and she's just going to start running in that direction as fast as she can run, being, a 55-year-old tiefling. But yeah, she's just bolting there with her sword in hand, her breath coming in these pained, desperate puffs as she moves towards the sound.
Hilda's gonna yell for everyone to head towards the screaming and start running that way herself.
Rodney is more reluctant. He looks around, perceiving around behind them to make sure that nothing is coming up behind them or whatever, because he's been in situations where it's not always the loud things that are ready to affect you. And he gets a total of a 14 for perception.
Okay, looking back, all you see is this mist blocking all vision just on the other side of the road. You still see the dirt path, but you can't even see the trees beyond. Your vision is totally obscured.
So is the screaming coming from the opposite direction of the mist?
Yes, away from the road into the forest itself.
Okay.
And Rodney actually begins muttering to himself again, and he's going to cast Detect Evil.
Yeah, as soon as you finish casting the spell to yourself, you were just slammed in the face with an overwhelming presence of evil. A stench invades your nose like the grave. You shudder at just the sheer might of what's coming out of the forest here. It's in all directions. You can't even tell which direction it's coming from. All around you is just this overwhelming sense of evil.
And Rodney is stuck still as his musket kind of drops from his shoulder to the ground. And for a moment, he's just stunned at the overwhelming nature of it all, before he kind of hears a slight snap of a twig behind him from his companions, and he seems to come back to where he was, and he says, I'm moving. And he comes running up behind him.
as you all top a small hill, you can start to see the glow of another fire way off in the distance. It's just, you don't have a direct sight on it. It is just bouncing, glittering off of the trees themselves and very far away. But as you come up over the hill, this horrible, horrible wail echoes through the night, knocking you all down. You can't even stay standing before it. And all of the screaming stops from the direction of the light. Now all you hear after the wail is just low growls and crunching.
Are we still, is it still coming from the same direction we were moving in, or is this a different direction? Okay.
No, it's still from the direction.
Gotcha. So yeah, I think after being knocked on her butt, Granny looks over to Hilda, and weirdly enough, she smiles and she says, "Well, this is a mighty foe indeed, if his or her voice alone can knock us down." And she kind of leans on you, little Hilda, to get up. And she just mutters to herself, "Do you know why they call me Granny Blades? Because it takes me a fucking long time to get up." And she finally gets onto her 2 feet and starts at a little slower, more sedate pace, heading in the same direction that we were originally going.
Hilda smiles as she helps Granny get up. And she nods. I think we should go and continue towards this creature.
Yes.
And the scream. I'm sorry. And the screaming stopped. Correct?
Yeah, there was a bunch of voices that were screaming in terror.
Like female, male. Could you tell?
Both male, female. It was like a group of people through the woods. These were the voices that Verity thought that she heard at the start of this, and whatever revelry was going on has ceased, and something awful is happening, and all of those voices have stopped.
And now we hear crunching sounds, like,
just like
moist crunching sounds.
Like something chewing.
Okay, I would say, let us go see what this beast is feasting on, shall we?
I am way ahead of you. You should catch up. And Granny continues moving in that direction.
I have little legs.
And I'm very old.
Be wary for the vile maliciousness is surrounding us. It's all about this fog is unclean.
What do you mean by unclean?
There is wickedness surrounding us at this time. It moves within the mist. It's surrounding us. It's guiding us. It wants us to go where it wants us to go. We are now in its play. We're now playing its game. And I think that, unfortunately, we have to play through this nightmare.
Are y'all or are you standing still?
I thought we were kind of running along like a jog. I thought we got up and started.
Yeah, we were still moving in that general direction of the crunching and the growling and the snapping and the gnashing.
And the feasting.
Yeah, Rodney definitely caught up to the group and is trying to stay almost uncomfortably close to possibly Nathaniel and Verity at times.
Verity's moving a lot more cautiously than the other one. She's trying not to be heard. She's a little bit less reckless than the other ones, I would say. So she's definitely going more cautiously, more looking around, and not really anxious to get where they're going.
Within just a few minutes of traveling, you come up on yet another, for the second time in one day, another horror scene. What you see parked along a small clearing in the woods is a circle of wagons, or what used to be wagons. Now, most of them are overturned, and you see just bodies of men and women in brightly colored clothing and scarves littered about the ground. One of them splayed over the fire itself that they had in the center of the camp, burning and sending a sickly sweet smell into the air. And all around you is a pack of giant black wolves as they're feasting on the bodies themselves, paying you no mind right now. Can I get a perception check from all of you?
Got a 9.
19 for Chance.
10.
Okay, Chance and Rodney and Verity, all three of you notice in underneath one of the far wagons are what appears to be two small children huddled just in the shadows, completely terrified of what's going on. They are not moving.
As soon as Verity sees that, is there anything around those children? Or could she get to them?
Not without going through a sea of wolves.
Okay, so they're on the other side of the wolves?
Absolutely.
Okay, so Verity at this point, almost desperately, she's looking around to find out how she can get to them without these wolves noticing her. So she's going to start circling around the outside, keeping as quiet as she can, but moving as quickly as she can towards where those children are.
Okay, and you successfully stay in the shadows. But keeping your eye on the children, you neglect to see a smaller branch on the ground, and as you trying to move quickly, you step on it, snapping it loudly, and all of the wolves stop what they're doing and look in y'all's direction. I'm going to need everybody to roll initiative.
Wow. 3.
19 for Chance.
All right. All right, Chance, you surprisingly are the quickest of everyone. And you get a quick count. You seem to see about 10 of these wolves thrown throughout, or all throughout the camp, and they are all looking in the direction of Verity. What would you like to do, sir?
So Chance or Granny Blades, whatever moniker you prefer, she sees the wolf's head snap in the direction of Verity and the children, and she sighs and she looks at the wolves who are not paying attention to her and just says, "Do you know why they call me Granny Blades? Because I'm fucking good with this." And then she's going to run forward, and as a bonus action, she draws her blade against her bluish or grayish blue skin of her forearm and draws a little blood. And as the blood comes kind of out of her arm, it clings to the blade and begins to crackle with electrical energy as she uses her crimson right as a blood hunter. And she is going to lash out at the nearest wolf, just shouting as loudly as possible, her hoarse voice echoing through the clearing. So let me roll that. So that is a 15 to hit.
That absolutely hits.
Great, but I'm only doing 3 points of regular slashing damage and 1 point of lightning damage. So 4 points of damage total.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, your blade sinks left of the nearest wolf, and since it wasn't expecting you, all of the focus was in the direction of Verity. So you get a nice clean hit and kind of knock it off of the corpse that it was standing on. It yelps as the rest of the pack start to notice the rest of you, and they all spread out. Several go in the direction of Verity, and the rest move their way towards you. As the one rolls and yelps, another one leaps out from your side, and that is a 19 to hit.
That'll definitely hit Granny if that's who he's aiming for.
Okay. Yeah, the wolf jumps and lashes out and snaps onto your arm, causing 8 points of damage to you as it snags your arm and starts to rip and tug, dragging you down to your knees.
And you would see Granny's face just contort in agony as the blood just spews from her arm. She's already not looking so great.
Three more bolt past towards Verity. Very, very fast. Or who would be in? I guess Hilda would be in front, outside of Granny Blades.
Yes.
Okay. That is a 16 to hit.
It hits me.
It hits you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. It leaps and launches itself onto you, trying to bite down, but doesn't really get much in the way of I guess that dwarf skin. It's just a little tougher than what it's used to. It only causes 2 points of damage to you as the rest start to encircle Nathaniel and you and Rodney.
I use sand as a moisturizer.
Rodney, you see all of this unfolding before your eyes. The tiefling known as Granny Blades is on her knees with a wolf latched onto her. It looks like it's about to rip her arm clean off of its socket. The others moving towards Verity, standing alone in the clearing. What would you like to do?
So we have one that's attached to Granny Blades, and then we have two attacking Verity.
They're moving towards her. Didn't
Okay.
quite get to her. One did manage to leap onto the dwarf, but she seems to have a handle on that one.
Okay. And so Rodney is standing there, and his hands start fidgeting, and he's like, "No, no, I will not lay down and die. Just stop." And he just steps forward, and his hand just crackles with this white icy mist, and he throws it at the beast that is attached to Chance. And he's going to throw a Ray of Frost. That is a total of 21 to hit. Does that strike?
Absolutely.
Excellent. So it's going to take 7 points of cold damage, and its speed is reduced by 10 feet until the start of its next turn. So hopefully that helps. And he starts moving toward Chance because he sees the amount of blood that's coming out, albeit a different color than human blood. It doesn't take much to realize what's coming next.
Okay. Yeah. The wolf lets go, yelps in sheer agony. It kind of tries to drag itself away. Its tail tucked down. It is absolutely afraid of whatever just took it right into the side.
Would I get an op attack on that shit? Maybe. All right.
You know what? Yeah, you would.
Okay. Yeah. So as the ray of frost hits this wolf and it detaches, Granny just instinctively lashes out with her blade. Let's see. Ooh, that is a natural one.
Yeah, just your instinct was sound. You lash out at the beast before you, but it just leaps out of the way. But you extended so much effort that you really kind of overthrow yourself and knock yourself prone.
Nice. And as she falls, Granny Blaze just snarls. She says, "I'm getting too old for this shit."
All right, Nathaniel, you're up. You see one wolf backing away, severely wounded. Another one is regaining its feet from the slash that Granny Blades laid into it. What do you do?
So Nathaniel was kind of like nervous, maybe even timid coming into this clearing, not really knowing if they were wolves. But upon seeing them just being large wolves, he's kind of regained his composure a bit. He's kind of shouting, trying to get their attention away from Verity or Granny Blades. And as he does so, he shoulders his rifle and he fires at one running towards Verity. I rolled a 12.
So that was 12 on the dice?
No, that was 12 total.
Oh, 12 total.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that didn't quite hit. Your round strikes the ground, the wolf, startling it, but not quite hitting it.
So yeah, there's like a plume of dirt that erupts from the ground near these wolves, and I kind of start getting my powder ready to reload. All
right. Verity, you see the wolves charging towards you. There's 3 of them. The ground erupts in front of one of them after a loud crack from your left. It startles the wolf, but not enough to take it off of its target. It's very bloodthirsty and heading your way. What would you like to do?
About how far away is it at this moment?
They've closed into probably about 10 feet of you.
Yeah, this is not so good for Verity. Verity is going to, I guess, ready with both of her weapons. She's going to have a short sword in one hand and her dagger in the other, and she's going to move to the side of one of them so that, like, if all three of them are coming straight at her, she's kind of going to move to the left, like to the leftmost one, and attack that one. And pray that she's going to live. Okay, so short sword is a 14.
That hits. It finds its mark.
Okay. So the damage is from the short sword is 8 piercing.
Okay.
And she got a natural 20 with her dagger.
Ooh, okay. So slashing out with your short sword, you catch the wolf. I imagine that you would slice into its torso, and as the blade finishes its stroke, you shove your dagger directly up and catch the wolf right in the throat, silencing and killing it instantly.
Perfect.
And we now have 2 wolves on Verity. And Hilda, it is now your move.
Okay. And I currently have a wolf on me, correct? The one that tried biting.
Yeah, it didn't try. It did. It sunk its teeth down into your shoulder, but it didn't really catch much flesh. It tis but a flesh wound.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and rage. I'm going to scream. Hilda's going to scream violently, and she's going to drag one of her axes across the face, just slash right at its face. Let me see what I get. I got a 16. What do I?
That's absolutely a hit. You would roll for your damage now. Add your strength.
Uh, 5 damage. And I'm going to take Hilda's going to take her other axe and just go the opposite way, like right under its chin where its throat is, just slashing again. Oh, that's a miss. That's definitely a miss. I rolled a 2.
You do have that bless on you, which is, I don't know if that'll make a difference. Okay, you can only roll an additional d4, so it won't make a difference.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, you catch it with the first hit, and knock it off of your shoulder there. And you try to follow right as it falls to the ground, but just come up short with it. What did you say you did damage-wise with that first hit? Was it a 5?
5, yes.
Excellent. Granny, we're up to you, man.
So, are there any wolves within 5 feet of Granny Blades right now? Roughly?
Yes, the one that you initially hit. You went charging in and hit the one before the other grabbed your arm. That one is within 5 feet of you.
Yeah, so Granny uses half of her movement to get up unsteadily, this black sort of tar-like blood almost oozing out of her injured arm. and she is just in so much pain at this point, sort of breathing through clenched, gritted teeth. And she very clumsily swings her blade at this wolf. Pretty sure it's going to miss with a 6. I'm assuming that misses.
That was on the die, or that was total?
That's total.
Okay, yeah, absolutely misses. Yeah, that 4 wouldn't save you there either. Yeah, you wildly slash and just you keep the wolf at bay, but you didn't make any kind of contact at all. The one wolf that had bit you is still slinking away, and it's on the other side of the fire now. It is licking at its wounds. That cold damage that hit it has bewildered it, and just survival instinct has taken over. It's moving away very slowly, just gushing blood from its side.
And if it's okay with you, just as a flavor thing, I think seeing that Granny's just going to start shouting at this thing, just these throaty, nonsense sounds, trying to keep the attention off of Verity, which is probably a little strange for a woman who is literally bleeding out of her arm. But she is just yelling and making as much noise as possible, trying to pull them more towards her and Hilda.
Excellent. And as you were shouting, 2 more of the wolves are lunge at Verity. They're cannily move to either side of you, Verity, as they've seen you take out one of their pack mates. One lunges low towards your leg, and that would be a 13.
No, AC's 14.
Okay. Yeah, as it lunges, maybe you just skitter forward, and it crashes into the leaves, missing its target. And the other one leapt high. That one is also a 13. And it just sails past. You can almost feel the claw whisk through your hair as you dodge out of the way. There are 3 more where the rest of the party is. One leaps back up the wolf and completely misses. Just snaps as a wild animal and just completely wide misses. The other one launches itself onto Nathaniel, and that's a 19 to hit. All right, that's 5 points of damage. It latches itself onto your leg, kind of tugging like an attack dog, just yanking at your leg. I can't hear you.
Is that better?
Yes.
Any better? Okay.
Yes.
You can see some blood trickling from his pants where the dog bit. You can definitely tell that there's some flesh missing from that wound. And you see me kind of cry out a bit. Maybe pissed off.
All right. Yeah, you yell out into the night as the last one leaps at you, and that is a 16 to hit. Does that hit you? According to what I've got, it does. 14 or 16 hits.
Sorry.
So yeah, that one leaps high at you, trying to drag you down to the ground. You feel teeth sink into your neck as 7 more points of damage.
I'm hanging out in there by the skin of my teeth. I'm on the ground probably.
Okay, Rodney, you see Nathaniel go down with two wolves on him. One has a very good hold on his neck and is ripping and tearing.
So did you drop to 0, or are you still?
No, I have 1 point.
Okay. Well, fuck him then. I'm just kidding. No, the one that's on his neck is who he is going to target, because Rodney turns around and he throws another ball of ice at this thing to see if he can get it off of him. That is going to be a 17 to hit for 8 points of damage.
Absolutely hits. Knocks it completely off. It goes rolling into the tree, and is laying there whimpering. Not quite dead, but it is very, very hurt.
Okay, and he kind of begins moving closer to Nathaniel, since currently Chance seems to not have anything attacking her, but Nathaniel's probably next, so he's moving closer to be prepared.
Absolutely. All right. Nathaniel, you feel an ice blast go right over the back of your head and hit this wolf, knocking it completely off. That pain is searing. Blood is dripping down your chest. You can feel your heartbeat. Your vision a little blurry, but you're alive. What would you like to do?
I'm hot. I'm very, like, when you get hurt so bad, your body just is on fire, and feeling this blast of cold is very, like, odd mingling there behind me as it kind of takes this wolf off my neck here, and kind of just at some point I must have dropped my rifle, because the things I had in my hands aren't really in my hand anymore as I've been dragged to the ground. I still have a wolf biting my leg and trousers. Would I be able to get to draw my sword and like a downward slash on him?
Absolutely.
All right, so I pre-rolled this. I got a 19 on the die with a +4 from the bless. I'm pretty sure 23 hits, 25 actually.
Oh yeah, absolutely, a square hit.
So there's not a whole lot of finesse in this blow. Just a desperate slash, and I'm gonna hit for 7 points of damage as I just bring my sword kind of lazily down, not lazily, but just with the weight of my arm as hard as I can.
Yeah, it yelps and lets go. It's got a massive slash across its face, its eyes hanging out of its socket. It's yelping in pain, kind of wincing at what you just laid upon its head. But it lets go.
I think I'm getting like one of those like Saving Private Ryan when they're storming the beaches, like everything's ringing. I've like dropped to one knee. Help me.
Absolutely. Do you stand back up or try to stand back up, or are you on the ground?
Just given the circumstances, I'd think that I've taken a knee on the ground. So, I mean, effectively prone, if you will, just out of how I think I got attacked.
Okay. And Verity, you have just danced out of reach of these two wolves. What would you like to do at this point?
Is anybody else close to the two wolves that are on me, or are they a ways away at this point still?
They are. Your companions are about 25 feet from you.
Okay. I will then. I'm fighting for my life here, so I'm going to fight one of the ones in front of me. Going for the slicing his belly, hitting, daggering him, that kind of thing. Going for the pick the left one, I guess. Oh, that's not such a good roll. 13.
It actually hits.
Oh, yay!
Yeah, you connect.
Okay, so that's the short sword, and it's doing 5 points of piercing.
Yeah, you wound it. It yelps in pain, but stands its ground.
Okay, so I'm going to follow up with the dagger.
Okay.
And that is not good. That is a 10.
Yeah, 10. You miss. You just slash out. You're in a bit of a panic. The two wolves are here on you, and you are alone as far as you're concerned right now. Yeah, you just slash wildly and miss it completely. Hilda, you have knocked the wolf off of you, and it's on the ground. It's back on its feet, growling at you, getting ready to pounce and attack. What would you like to do?
First off, you did get that updated damage that I did, correct?
Sorry, no, I didn't. Well, it should have been 7.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry about that.
Okay, we'll retcon that. Okay, yeah, this thing is a little more wounded than I had thought, but it is still there, snarling at you furiously.
Okay. Hilda's gonna clang her axes together, let out another blood-curdling scream, and swing at the wolf's face.
All right, yeah, roll.
I got a nat 20.
Oh, okay. Yeah, describe how you slay this thing.
Okay, so she takes the axe that's in her left hand, and she's screaming, just, ah! And she just buries it in the wolf's jaw. Just the side of its face just kind of explodes with blood and teeth. Just, it's everywhere, and it's all over her too.
All right, yeah, you absolutely kill this wolf, blooding yourself in the process. The wolf's viscera is spread across your face like war paint at this point with the power of your attack. You would turn around and see Nathaniel on one knee, one wolf wounded but still there. Another is up against a tree lying down. A little off to you, you see Granny there with one wolf back on it, whimpering away. In the distance, you see Verity bravely fighting off 2 wolves at once, like a ballerina with her blades, whirling and twirling and dodging attacks. What would you like? You still got movement and another attack.
Who's closest to me?
Nathaniel will be closest to you.
And Nathaniel is the one looking pretty wounded.
Well, both Nathaniel and Granny are both very wounded. Granny her arm is mauled. It's just muscle is hanging off of her forearm, and she's bleeding pretty profusely. Nathaniel has a vicious wound on his neck, and he's also bleeding very, 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 very badly.
Would I be able to get to Granny and do an attack, or is she too far away?
No, she's close enough that you could reach that wolf and attack.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and run up with my other axe ready. Well, I pull out my axe out of the wolf's face. Then I run forward, screaming. And I'm going to go ahead and swing at the wolf that's got Granny. 16?
That hits.
2. Now, question: do I add my rage to this? Do I add the 2 extra damage to the second?
Yes, you're still raging, so yes.
Okay. 7.
All right, yeah, you leap over Granny and bring both hands down with your axe right square into the back of this wolf's neck, and it, with a sickening thud, it does not move anymore. It is completely toast at this point.
No one messes with Granny.
All right, Granny, you see this half-naked dwarf leap over you and solve your wolf problem for you. At this point, what would you like to do?
So Granny sees this and she smiles. And Hilda, you hear her sort of very quietly just muttering to herself, "Come on, come on, come on!" And then she says to you, she says, "Thank you, Hilda. I appreciate that. Now watch this." And she kind of drags her hand up her mauled arm, gathering this handful of blood, and she casts it out to the south of the clearing and concentrates, and you see her black eyes somehow turn a shade darker, if that's even possible, as the loud roaring of a grizzly bear just erupts from the southern side of the clearing, like it's literally about to burst into the clearing, as she uses thaumaturgy to see if she can scare some of these wolves away with a bigger, badder predator.
Ooh, all right. So why don't you give me a charisma check versus their wisdom?
Just a straight charisma check?
Yeah.
Ooh. Ah, it was almost something great. It's a 5.
Oh. So
It's like it looked like it was about to be a 19, and then it rolled to a 3. I was
It's
like,
a baby grizzly.
no.
This little baby.
You hear meow.
shit.
All right. Well, everybody in the clearing hears just this loud like from beyond the tree line, but it doesn't even budge the wolves. They pay it no mind whatsoever. As the two wolves near Verity both attack. One.
And I'm sorry, I'm actually going to use my movement. Granny's actually going to move up as close to these other wolves as she can. But yeah, you're fine. You're fine. But she's just going to move up to the wolves attacking Verity if she can get close.
Okay. Verity, that first one was a 13, and the second was a 14.
The 14 hits.
Okay. Yeah. Again, they both leap at you at the same time. Pack attacks. These are experienced hunters. They both, one leaps low and one leaps high. I imagine the one below you kind of try to jump out of the way, but the high one anticipates your movement this time and just tackles you. Not really biting, but slams its body into you for 2 damage, knocking you down against a tree. It doesn't really do a whole lot of damage to you, but you feel the air knocked out of you, and the wolf lands next to you. Let's see. The one wolf that was near Granny, that was first blasted with the ice blast, is still trying to fidget away. It's so hurt that it has no interest in anything but survival at this point, so it's not moving. The one at Nathaniel's leg tries to attack his leg. That's a 19. Latches onto your leg, doing 2 damage, Nathaniel.
You hear like a guttural grunt as this thing makes contact with me again, and I kind of collapsed on my side into the dirt.
Okay, yeah, Rodney, you hear this, and you hear just a little as Nathaniel falls to the ground, this wolf on him just tearing into his flesh. What would you like to do?
So Rodney sees this as it's happening, and he again throws another ray of frost at the wolf that just assailed him. And it's going to be a 16 to hit for 5 points of damage.
Absolutely. That's the one he'd already hit for 5. Okay. Yeah, the ice bolt just blasts it and almost instantly freezes the now corpse of this wolf. It falls and does not move again.
Okay, and I am going to go stand over Nathaniel, not teabagging him, but just standing over him to protect him in case anything else comes over to attack him.
Copy that. Let's see. Nate, you're down. Give me a death save.
I got a nat fucking 1.
Oof. Okay, that's
2 failures.
Okay. That would be 2 failures. Verity, you're on the ground now. You've regained your footing. The wolf staring at you, a low growl in its throat. What would you like to do?
I would like to stab up at it into its throat as it's over me.
Okay, give me that roll.
$14.
That hits.
Sweet. Oh, yes. Max damage, so that's 9. 9 points of piercing.
All right, yeah, you just shove your knife directly up below its jawline and straight into its brain. It is toast and falls over. The other one looking at you at what had just happened and starts to think better of it and runs off into the woods. That would be the last threatening wolf at this point.
Would I get an attack of opportunity on that one?
Would I also get an attack of opportunity on that one?
Verity, yes. Granny, no. You're still down by the campfire.
No problem.
15.
Yeah, you just... I correct me if I'm wrong, but I imagine you just kind of chuck your dagger at the wolf.
That's exactly what I was
run.
thinking. Yeah.
What was the damage on that one?
That would have been a 7.
Oh, all right. Yeah, that's enough force to knock it down in mid-stride. It rolls and yelps. Your dagger had found its mark just on the underside of his foreleg. So as he tried to come down, he just trips and rolls and falls, whimpering onto the ground. With that, yeah, there you go. With that, you stand up. The only wolves still breathing are on the ground, panting, not really moving a whole lot. They're so wounded. The original wolf that was hit with the ice bolt has made its way off. It's no longer visible. You stand around, all of you, surveying the carnage. Granny is still bleeding out pretty profusely. Nathaniel looks on the verge of death. And just on the other side of the fire, you all hear the whimpering of 2 small children. They're sobbing and crying uncontrollably.
So are there any, you said there were wolves on the ground panting, correct?
Yeah, like they're so hurt they're not moving. They're just trying to catch their breath. Almost giving up on life, just holding on with whatever life they have left in them.
Okay, so yeah, Granny is going to walk over after she's sure that Verity and the children are all right. despite everything. And she just drags her longsword, which is still crackling with this electrical energy, over, and she's just going to stab into each of these wolves to try and make sure they don't get up again.
Yeah, they're not even moving. So yeah, I'm just gonna give you that. You just finished them off with a quick slice. They don't even give them much of a fight.
Yeah, and as she does this, she just kind of mutters to herself, "Do you know why they call me Granny Blades? Because fuck you, that's why." And then she'll just stab, and then she stabs the other one as well.
Dig it. All right. Your companion Nathaniel is not looking too hot. Rodney, you look down and you've seen this look too many times of a man on the verge of the afterlife. What would you like to do?
Yeah, at this point he's already standing over him, and he steps back and kneels down next to him, and he in the process he pulls out this this little box, and he takes this small, like, looks like a letter opener, and he pierces his finger on it, and he lifts up the lock, and he dips the drip of blood in there, and you see the lock unlock, and he pulls out, goes into this little box, and he seems to be looking through it, and he pulls out this like piece of paper, and he reaches over and he actually dabs his forehead with a little bit of blood as he starts reading something from it. And then he closes his eyes and he looks up, and there's light emanating from him as he's casting Cure Wounds, and he gives him a total of 9 hit points back. And he quickly just closes it up and then locks it and puts it back into his bag. And so at this point, are the wolves cowering away and everything's quiet, or?
One got away. The first one you hit with that ice bolt got away. Granny finished off another one that was near Nathaniel, and Verity has not told me how she wants to handle the one that she wounded.
Okay, so there's still one left.
So the wounded one has my dagger in it?
Yes. Yeah, you hit it right behind the forelegs. It's embedded into its torso.
So yeah, if it's not running away or anything, I'm going to approach it and just stab down with the short sword, ending its life, retrieving my dagger, and then I'm going to see the children.
All right, yeah, as you approach them, what you see is an older girl, probably about 11, hugging her brother tight. Their dirty little faces have tear streaks coming down. They're both terrified. She's hugging him, making it to where he can't see what's going on, saying something in a language that you don't quite understand. The little boy, the only thing coming out of his mouth is "mama" repeatedly. "Mama, mama, mama."
So Verity would approach the children, and as she gets close to them, she would drop both of her weapons on the ground so that she's got empty arms. And that blanket that Nathaniel had given her, she would take it at this point and kind of wrap them both up in it. And she would be using her body as best as possible to block the carnage of this campsite so that they're not seeing it.
All right. Dave, you said you gave him 8 points back or 9 points?
9.
Okay, so does that bring him up to a total of 8, right? He was -1. That would bring him up to 8.
I think in 5e there's no negative, so he would be at 9, right?
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. Pathfinder's still in my brain. That would bring him back up to 9 then. Nathaniel, I would imagine that the magic would seep its way into you and you would just gasp back to life. The wounds magically knitting themselves. You might carry a really badass scar across your neck for the rest of your life, but otherwise you're fine.
There's probably some scabs from where like the magic didn't completely heal it. And I would kind of like grab Rodney's leg, like kind of in that like going back into the death throw and coming out of it, like grab his leg really tight. What the hell happened?
You're going to be okay. Sorry, I don't swing that way.
You fell down. And Granny walks over to you, Rodney, and holds out her arm and is like, could you please do something about this?
You guys are a cheery bunch in the room. Clear full of horror.
You're going to be okay. We're back in the fight. Are they all done?
Yes, they're all dead or gone. You see Verity comforting 2 small children on the other side of the encampment.
Yeah, and as Rodney feels the breeze, there's a wind that kind of picks up a little bit, and he kind of, I would imagine that Nathaniel's the only one that can hear him muttering to himself. He looks around and he says, the breeze, the breath of God is still, and the mist upon the hill, shadowy, shadowy, yet unbroken, is a symbol and a token, how it hangs upon the trees, a mystery of mysteries.
It is funny that you mentioned the breeze, catching your breath, and the heat of battle literally cooling off at this point. Rodney, you look up at the hill that you came over, and sure as shit, there it is. The mist has closed in over the hill, almost exactly the same distance as it was from you at your campsite.
Rodney, do you see my arm? It is bleeding. Please, could you heal my arm? And Granny is like thrusting this mauled arm into your face at this point, Rodney.
Oh my God.
Do something about this, please. I've been standing here for like a minute.
He steps back and he's kind of taken aback, and he starts, as he gathers his wits, he starts inspecting the wound. And I just critted a medicine roll. So usually it doesn't heal, but I don't have a medicine or a healer's kit. So I am able to bandage your wound. You see me pull out some, I pull out the, that box again, and I pull out some bandages. Similarly, I had to unlock it, and I start wrapping your wound with bandages, and I think with a crit, I probably give you back, I think, 1 hit point on at least a medicine roll, but that's up to the DM.
I'm gonna say you give him 3 hit points back. You stop the bleeding, kind of bandage it up as well as you can. Yeah, we'll go with 3 there. As I said in the chat, all of you take a point of inspiration for everything that was so badass in that combat.
Thank you.
And Leah's right; she's never dealt with inspiration before. So, Jason, would you like to explain how point of inspiration works?
Yeah, so I mean, it kind of depends on the DM. I know for me personally, with inspiration, if you roll a d20 and the roll is crap, you can use a point of inspiration to re-roll. I think rules as written, it's just you roll with advantage, I think. So it really depends on what the DM wants to do, but essentially you get to roll twice in some capacity or another.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's effectively like a fuck you bad roll. If something is critical. and you really want to succeed, you can discard the bad roll and, like he said, roll with advantage and re-roll that particular roll.
Nice. So I can just kind of hold on to that point of inspiration, or
Yeah,
does it?
you hold on to it. You
Cool.
use it whenever you like.
Thanks for explaining that.
No problem. And so yeah, after Rodney, I keep wanting to call him Gregory, but that's his last name. As Rodney bandages Granny's arm, she looks over at Nathaniel and then looks back to you, Rodney. She just sighs and she says, "Thank you, Rodney." And then she kind of jerks her arm away a little bit and moves off.
And you see him pull out a flask, and as Chance has walked away, he uncorks the flask, and he begins washing his hands off of the blood. And you notice that it's actually a flask of holy water. And he's trying to be sly about it, but he's feeling kind of, he's definitely kind of put off by the fact that it's tiefling blood that he just put on himself.
Could I roll some kind of perception check to see if I notice that shit?
If you want to, I waited till you kind of walked away, but
oh no, that's fine.
Yeah.
If she's walking away, then you're good.
Yeah, you wouldn't notice that it was particularly holy water. Just that you feel particularly better than you probably should. Please don't tell me my internet just cut out.
Nope, we can see and hear you.
Okay, cool. Everybody froze up and everything got really silent. All right. So, as I said, Verity is comforting 2 small children in the encampment. Everything else seems quiet outside of the creepy mist at the top of the hill. What are you guys doing?
I think Nathaniel, he's probably still like a ghostly white. He's reloaded his musket that he's found, on the ground next to where he was, put his sword away, and he's kind of just staring off into the woods. Anybody close enough would see that he's like white knuckling his rifle, just holding it so hard, kind of trying to come to grips with what he's seen coming that close to the other side.
Hilda's gonna start dragging all of the bodies into a pile. She
The bodies
feels
wolves or the bodies of the people?
the people. She feels like they should, be buried or burned, perhaps. Feel right leaving them all there.
Okay. So the rest of you see Hilda start to kind of line up the corpses, or really what's left of them. That's a grisly task. A couple of times, Hilda, as you grab onto a corpse, it literally comes apart from the damage caused by being half-eaten. It's pretty grisly.
Yeah, well, Grizzly doesn't bother Hilda.
I think Granny would try to help her with that as best she could with one decent arm. So probably not a whole lot, but she would try and help.
As Hilda's moving some of the bodies, she just quietly says, "These people, I don't think they deserved this."
I don't think many people deserve to die, Hilda, but it is a shame, for certain.
There are some who deserve to die.
And Granny smiles a little at that, but doesn't say anything.
Right. And during this little bit of downtime, we're going to take a quick 5-minute break. Do what you got to do, and we'll be back in just a minute. Again, I appreciate everybody who has tuned in or is watching currently. We'll be back.
Cool.
Let's see who's watching.
I couldn't resist it though.
I couldn't resist it though either.
Got one viewer. It's like Jeremy Lilly was in here for a time.
Heck yeah.
So what do you think so far, man? How are you liking it?
It's good. I like it. You got a very mysterious vibe going on here. I was like 50% sure like you were going to take us to Ravenloft or something crazy like that. But and who knows, you might still. But yeah, man, it's going great. I think you're doing a great job for sure.
Everybody sees mist and they're like, "Hey, Ravenloft."
Basically, I mean, it's called the Land of the Mist. I mean, what do you expect?
You take a wrong left turn in Albuquerque and you're in Ravenloft.
That's right.
Here, honey.
Thank you. Ham and cheese. There for a second, I thought it was going to be a really short game.
Yeah, you're just an efficient DM. I'm gonna kill him quick. Okay.
All right, thanks for tuning in, guys. On today's episode of Kill the Party with a Pack of Wolves.
Today on Smith's Ford, we are going to kill the party.
That could be my thing.
Today's episode of Kill the Party.
You ever have that fear of like playing a live game? You just hope that you turned off your microphone, especially.
Oh yeah.
Something I was yelling at Yvonne, and I was like, God, I hope I have the microphone off.
When I asked my girlfriend to grab a book for me and like, I was like, oh, I didn't mute.
I was just thinking to myself, dang, that Baron is such an asshole. I'm just kidding.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised. It would have to be you, right?
Of course. Aaron was like, could you do me a favor and shut the fuck up?
Hey, Jason. Hey, Jason. I don't mean to cut you off, but
yes, you do. Don't lie to me.
Everybody knows Beyonce was the best of all time.
Shh. Be quiet.
Baron's Kanye moments.
Kanye moments. So yeah, Nathaniel has adapted to the events and now has a character flaw: rational fear of wolves.
Yes, I would say that's a good fear to have.
It's not something that's so much of a problem now in today's current standing, but
Yeah, I mean, let's just hope we don't run into any lycanthrope. I like that sigh. That makes me happy.
So through the course of the game, I've changed it up a bit. We're fighting werewolves now.
All right, is everybody back?
I think so.
All right, I think we are. Cool. We will just jump right back into it. Setting the scene again. We're at a attacked campsite. From the looks of it, it looks to be a traveling folk. Their wagons are all turned over and beat up now. Every member of this party had been killed and half devoured by wolves. Hilda has lined up what she could of the corpses, and counted probably about 8 people, all said, outside of the 2 children being comforted now. And at this point, how would you guys like to proceed?
I think Granny, who was sort of helping Hilda as best she could with her one bandaged arm, would look at the others and just say quietly, trying to not upset the children further, though they are obviously pretty upset. She would just say, "I do not think that the wolves are responsible for what we saw back in the town. I mean, they are obviously responsible for this, but this is too messy." And she looks at the corpses that Hilda has laid out, and there's just this, not a look of disgust, but this look of sadness and bitterness of someone who has seen a fair amount even before coming to this isolated place. And she says, "I think we should keep moving. Perhaps take the children back to town. They will only slow us down, I'm afraid."
When the 2 kids hear you talking about them, the little boy is like pointing in a direction, screaming, "Mama, Mama." His sister is trying to shush him. It's like, just silence. But he seems to know which direction is home.
Which way is he pointing?
He would be pointing to the north, which is weird because you know that the marshes lie that way.
Is that away from the mist?
Yes, it is away from the mist.
Verity would turn to Granny and kind of say, "I think we should go to the direction he's pointing. I think that's where they live."
That is fine with me, if it is fine with the others.
Hilda nods in agreement.
That would be good. Rodney has been taking care not to get too close because he realizes that he has a way of putting people off, especially children, and probably they're in better care of Verity at the moment. But he does take a moment to walk over to Nathaniel, and he claps him on the shoulder and he says, "Mr. York, there is much more left for you. Trust in that."
He would like noticeably jump. Sorry. He would like noticeably jump at your touch. Not really expecting it. Oh, sorry. The events of this evening have left me with a lot to think about.
Yeah. The older we get, the more we have to ponder.
You're right about that. And Granny kind of smiles.
Up until this day, I had very few thoughts of what comes after. The idea of confronting it is...
And as you're talking, the little boy is getting more and more agitated and somehow breaks free of his sister's grasp and runs off screaming "Mama" in the direction that he had been pointing. And his sister lunges out trying to grab him again and screams, "Thor, no!" But the boy is too quick and runs off into the woods. The sister turns, pleading to you. Please help me find Thor."
At this, Verity would pick up the weapon she dropped, and without really even hesitating, she would start going after where the boy left, the direction he left.
Hilda's going to look at the girl and ask, "The direction your brother just went, is that where you live, or did your mother run off that way?"
she looks to you. We were going home. We live just on the other side of the clearing. My mom and my papa, they have a home there. It is a waypoint. And she just bursts into sobs as she just screams out over and over again, Thorn, 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 and is tugging at you to find him.
Hilda places a reassuring hand on the girl's shoulder and then runs off in the direction the boy ran.
And the rest of you?
Well, I guess we now have to talk to the kids. I go over and ask the girl cautiously, like, well, if you weren't with your parents, where are your parents? Yes, I'm going to ask her that. Stop.
She looks at you very nervously and kind of puts Verity in between you and her. Still tugging. We must hurry. We must hurry.
Oh, Verity ran off. That's why. Yeah, they left us with left them with the Dark One and the Devil and Mr. York.
Oh, that is correct. Okay, okay.
Pretty much off-putting.
Yeah. So Nathaniel is her meat shield for this weird, creepy guy, demanding answers from her.
And I think Granny would have this strange look on her face, like she desperately wants to run after Hilda and Verity, but then she looks at the child with Nathaniel and Rodney. And she just sort of sighs, and she kind of gets down on her knees, so she's on the girl's level, and she just says, "Hi, my name is Granny Blades. If you want to stay here, I will stay here with you. And I'm sure that these fine gentlemen," and she looks over at the other two, "will go and help Verity and Hilda bring your brother back. I will keep you safe here, if that is what you want. Until your brother is brought back."
Can I get a perception check from you three?
$20 on the die.
14 total.
17.
Okay. Granny Blades is busy talking with the child. Do you other two notice that you no longer see Verity or Hilda at all? You don't even hear them running. And the mist has kind of moved down from the hill in the direction that they ran off, kind of encircling you on one side and attempting to come in between you and the direction that they ran off.
I would look to Rodney. I'm kind of uncomfortable, like in between the two of them at the moment, and then Granny comes up, and it's like, oh, a maternal instinct. Bet. Looking to Rodney, I would look in the direction that they ran, and kind of like a head nod inquisitively. Should I go, or should you?
I guess I can go. And yeah, so Rodney begins reluctantly kind of walking off in that direction and kind of picks up his pace a little bit and tries to find the path and follow where they're going.
Light a torch or something so we can see you.
And the girl,
he quickly lights a torch and then rushes again.
in the interim, the girl has just had enough of your shenanigans and breaks loose and runs off in the direction of her brother. Rodney, the mist is now creeping down the hill at an accelerated rate. It's closing in on you pretty close now. Again, this is just like at the beginning when Verity got too close. You can feel the chill in the air just encompass your body, and you also start shaking uncontrollably.
So just to clarify, so the girl ran off and the mist has sort of flowed in towards us, correct?
Absolutely.
So after the girl runs off, Granny Blaze just sort of hangs her head and sighs, is like, ugh. And she uses her sword to get up onto her feet. And is anybody nearby, or have they all sort of been hidden by the mist, or have they all moved off yet?
You can see them just on the edge of it, but it's now encompassing all of you.
Gotcha. So Granny Blades will take a moment looking at the swirling mist, and she'll just mutter to herself, "Come on, I'm ready. I'm ready." But when nothing happens for a second, she just shakes her head and she starts moving off in the direction where she saw the girl run, her blade out and still crackling with electricity.
All right. So to be clear, are all of you moving now towards where Hilda and Verity ran off?
I believe so.
Okay.
I would say I'm probably bringing up the rear after everyone kind of takes off.
Okay. The girl is running at a full sprint. You quickly lose sight of her, though you hear her through the trees echoing her brother's name. You keep hearing her scream, "Thorn, Thorn, Thorn." You're running for what seems to be an eternity. You don't hear Verity or Hilda at all anymore. And after a while, you run out of the edge of the trees into a clearing with a hill. Over at the top of the hill, you see the burnt down remnants of what used to be a house. And nothing else. You don't hear the girl anymore. You don't see Hilda. You don't see Verity at all. All you see is a rusted fence and what's left of this home.
So I think Granny would call out to Rodney and Nathaniel, just be like, "Hey, maybe we should go into this house, yes, with weapons drawn, especially our recently returned friend, especially if there are more wolves in there." And she sort of chuckles at the end as she moves towards the house.
Coming again from the woods.
You said we all kind of entered into this clearing from different angles?
Yeah, you see each other maybe a couple of dozen feet from each other, trying to figure out where the girl had gone. You still hear her voice up towards the house yelling for her brother, but you don't see her, and no sign of the other two.
I think Nathaniel, like as soon as he breaches that clearing and hears the wolves, he's like missed a step and is, moving towards the remnants of the house. Not even so much thinking about the dangers ahead, more to just get away from whatever the hell's behind him.
The other two, you see Nathaniel almost tripping over himself, trying to get away from the noise. The howls are coming from the mist itself now, which has followed you through the woods and finds you here. He's running in a full panic towards the fence of this place.
And as Granny kind of comes up to the gates of the house, or as she approaches, I'm assuming Nathaniel gets there before her, she just calls out again. She says, "Remember, Nathaniel, fear cuts deeper than swords. Do not let it unman you. Please." And she still has her weapon out, sort of just looking around for anything that might be dangerous.
Nathaniel replies, "Wolf teeth cut pretty deep."
Don't be such a baby.
I died. Okay.
It won't be the first. I guess it won't be the last time you fall unconscious.
Tiefling are into that kind of stuff.
Depends on the tiefling.
Right. Rodney is going to start moving forward, and he's kind of looking left and right, and he's like, "No, this is not a good idea. No, it's not." And he begins casting Detect Evil and concentrating for it's a concentration spell that lasts for 10 minutes. So he's definitely looking at the house and
casting that, you feel a wave just come from behind you. It takes your breath with its potency. Again, it's every bit as powerful as at your camp, but it is coming directly from behind you. Whatever is there is pure evil and seeks only your destruction.
And Rodney picks up the pace and he's like, "We need to move. We need to move to this house."
That is literally what I've been saying for the last 2 or 3 minutes. Come on. And Granny's going to pick up the pace a bit and start moving past the gates into the burned out shell of the house.
And as you guys make your way up, the foundation of the house is still there, but it seems like it was once a pretty luxurious house. You see the small clearing from this angle, little farmland where they were cultivating something, but long barren now. Doesn't look like anybody's been here for generations, much less children. Coming into the house, the iron gate is just kind of pushed over. You clear that fairly easy. All that is really remaining standing of this house is the hearth, the fireplace standing still, and a small cellar door. The rest of the house is just burned timbers and overturned, everything just dilapidated. It doesn't look like anybody's been here, like I said, for generations. But you do hear a mixture of the girl's voice coming from the cellar, still calling her brother's name, and something else, something droning, some other voice droning behind her.
I think Granny would turn to Nathaniel and Rodney and sort of quirk up this one white eyebrow and just say, "I am confused. It does not look like anyone has been here in some time, which includes Hilda and Verity. And yet there are sounds coming from that cellar door. Do you think," and she sort of looks at the cellar door, then looks at the other two, "Do you think we should go down there?"
Nathaniel would probably outright say no. But as my character, I'm going to make him say yes. I think we should.
And what about you, Twitchy? What do you say?
He kind of looks at you and raises his head up a little bit, looking down his nose at you. "I think it's better than what's coming behind us." And I kind of point the detect evil toward the cellar door. Is evil emanating from it?
Evil surrounds you. You feel it coming from behind you. You feel it below you.
Well, it's all around us, this malevolent feeling. So we must keep putting one foot in front of the other.
That is enough for me, and that is good advice. And so Granny will walk over to the cellar door, just grab it with her, the hand of her unmaimed arm, and just throw it open if she can, unless it's locked or some such.
As you descend the stairs, initially go straight down like any cellar would, and then start to wind in a spiral staircase, going down much further than you think it should at this point. You're in very cramped space coming down these stairs. The air is stuffy. The girl's voice has stopped, but the droning voice is emanating from all around you. You can't quite make it out what it is, but it is steady, and it keeps going. Of Hilda or Verity.
Can we catch any words in the droning, or is it just sort of a low humming sound?
It's not really like a humming. It's more like a whisper in a crowded room, like dozens of voices whispering at the same time.
And it's too faint for us to hear what some of the words being whispered are. Okay. So Granny would actually look at you, Nathaniel, and smile again, seeming not calm, but strangely all right with the situation. And she would gesture for you to take the point with her sword and just say, "Think of it like this, Nathaniel. You need a little more hair from the dog that bit you. You know what I mean?"
And just the journey itself down these stairs for Nathaniel is like diving deeper and deeper into fear. And as you say this to him, he almost looks grim. I think you're right. And he kind of carries on mechanically.
Good for you, Nathaniel. Remember, if there's a task that needs doing, better to do it than live in fear of it. And she pats you on the back.
I think he would actually like say it with you towards the end, like almost mechanically saying it out loud to interpret it into his brain.
You eventually reach the bottom of the stairs, which opens up into a small hallway of laid stone, very smooth, very intricate. It juts forward maybe 6, 7, 8 feet before it changes direction.
Daddy?
Wait, so there's a passage, and then, I'm sorry, what did he say? He froze a little for me.
He says no.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the passage is it juts out maybe 6, 7, 8 feet, not very far from the stairs before it turns to the left and to the right. It's like a T junction. You can go left or right. The stonework, like I said, was very intricate, very well laid. It has been here for a long time. The only thing disturbing the dust are 2 sets of footprints, one larger and one kind of dainty, almost like drag stepping as they go forward.
Is there any illumination outside of the torch that Rodney has?
No,
I'm gonna spark a torch as well before proceeding too far. And without disturbing the tracks, kind of maybe even examining them a bit. Actually, yeah, that's what I would like to do. These tracks, they seem like they're running steps. You said they're dragging, so I just imagine like a long tail behind each one of these steps.
Yeah, much longer than you think a normal footstep would be. Like someone was just kind of dragging their feet with each step.
Right on. So yeah, kind of like examining those. I would make my way towards the end of the hallway here, closer to the left wall.
Okay. On as you turn to the left, you see the hallway doesn't go that far down, but it ends at a wall with a big plaque that is. It looks like a brushed bronze from the lighting angle that you're looking at it now. It looks like there's etchings into it that you can't quite make out from here.
And that's all I see down this tunnel. There's no like doors or anything. Okay. How far are Verity and Rodney behind me? Not Verity. Granny.
You guys are all kind of cramped up right here. It's not a whole lot of space right here.
Then just kind of whispering over my shoulder, I would relay that information and turn the corner. This time a bit more cautiously rather than investigatively, looking at the ground for stones or something that are out of place. I'm trying not to trip any traps, basically. Do you want me to roll a perception for that, or?
Now the footprints are fairly easy to notice. They don't go to the left at all, but they veer to the right and into the darkness. Can't really see too far, maybe 30 or so feet before it goes black again.
I'm saying towards the plaque. I'm trying to go towards the plaque.
Oh, the plaque. Okay.
Yes.
So you're going towards it and looking at it? Okay, the etchings are very elaborate writing. And they they depict two names that you can't really make out, but also two children in nobles' clothing. Very elaborate, very well made, very bright, very colorful. But it looks like what is here is a wall built up around a tomb for someone's children.
Dope.
Yeah, and you hear Rodney kind of under his breath saying, "Some sepulture remote and lone, against whose portal that she hath thrown in childhood many an idle stone, some tomb from out whose sounding door she ne'er shall force an echo more, thrilling to blink, poor child of sin. It was the dead who groaned within."
Hey, Rodney, I can also rhyme, but I don't really think it's a good time. And Granny is going to get closer to the plaque and try to... Can I make out the names with my dark vision?
It's one of his nervous twitches. He recites poetry.
I'm sorry, I gotta collect myself after that. That was really good. Yeah, you would I imagine come up to the plaque and very old lady like put your face up to it and inspect it.
Damn straight.
Very carefully. What you can make out is Thornbolt and Roslana, and some other writing that is just too faded to really truly make out.
And I think she would turn to the other two and say, what did the girl say her brother's name was again?
Warren?
I wonder if that is short for Thornbolt. And she nods to the plaque, and she smiles this big, almost eager smile, and she looks in the direction we're about to head, and she looks at you, Nathaniel, and says, "This is going to be interesting. I think we should move a little faster."
Just to be sure, Rodney casts prestidigitation across and cleans up the plaque. It allows him to clean the soil off of a 1 foot cubic area.
It's a very shiny plaque now.
And it reads Thorn and Rose. Thornbolt and Rose.
Roslana? Yes. Yes, it does. The other writing is still very faded out. You still really can't make it out of what it says. But the pictures of the children become very clear. It was really well made. The detail and the coloring are quite impressive. You immediately recognize the face of the little girl.
And Rodney looks over at Chance and he says, "It was the dead who groaned within."
And she just winks at you, Rodney, and says, "Don't be afraid. I'm sure we'll be fine. Besides, we have Nathaniel here." And she gives you another pat on the shoulder, Nathaniel, as she starts to move in the direction we were originally going to head, which I guess would be back since there's nothing down here except the plaque.
And like you pat my shoulder, and it's like there isn't much reaction. I'm very sullen. My eyes are bloodshot. I would just nod in agreement in turn to walk with you.
We still haven't found Verity or
No,
Hilda?
You haven't called out for them. You haven't seen or heard anything from them.
Yeah, I'm kind of not wanting to call out for him.
He says, "Fuck them."
So,
well,
okay.
not that I don't want to call out for him, but you know what I mean?
No, I get you.
So actually, that's a good point, and I'm kind of surprised that nobody's thought of that yet. So Granny, as she's walking sort of sidelong with Nathaniel, she kind of looks at him, looks back at Rodney, is like, "All right." And she undoes a little bit of the bandage around her arm, and she scrapes a little blood, and she puts it in front of her mouth, and she's going to cast thaumaturgy again to make her voice 3 times as loud, and she's just going to boom out, "Verity, Hilda, where are you?" just as loudly as she can.
And Rodney shrinks back and kind of drops the torch, and he's trying to like hide somewhere in this hallway, and he doesn't know where to hide. He's just kind of like freaked the F out at that moment. He's like, "Why did you do that?"
And we're gonna shift perspective for just a second. Hilda and Verity. Not that long ago, you both ran off chasing after the boy. You two both came across the clearing. Entering in the house, you see the little boy run down the stairs, and you remember opening the hatch and making your way down the stairs, and nothing afterwards. And both of you snap awake in total darkness. The air around you is stuffy and hard to breathe. Not even fungus is growing down here. It's just dead air. You snap awake and hear a loud voice echoing through the hallway. You swear it was your name, but you can't really be totally sure. What would you like to do?
Will my dark vision allow me to see if there's anything?
You see two stone uprisings from where you sit. Both of you are laid out in between these. And if you stood up, it would probably be about chest high on you, Hilda, and a little lower for Verity. But they're made of smooth stone and not much else. You see, the walls are not that far apart in this little room. Maybe that's a door just below or just behind your feet where you were laying down. And the echo of the voice and something else, some scratching.
Hilda's going to sit up and yell out, "Is anyone out there?"
So when
And-
Hilda, oh,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say when Hilda yells out, then that's at that point Verity knows she's not alone, because up to this point she can't see anything, and her first instinct is to feel herself and whether she has all of her stuff still. Her backpack, her swords, does she still have them?
Yes. Yeah, you're feeling around in the darkness, and as far as you can tell, everything that you had with you prior to losing memory is still with you.
She kind of relaxes a little bit at the knowledge of that, and then I'll let you.
Okay. Hilda, as you yell out, the scratching kind of stops for a minute, and we switch back perspective to the rest of the party. Granny, you would hear something forward, dozens of feet in front of you, but you can't really make it out what it is. Just on top of the whispering that is incessant throughout this entire place. It's not leaving your ears, but you swear you heard something in the darkness.
So even with my 60 feet of dark vision, I can't see anything right now. Anything unusual, correct?
No, you just see straight down the hallway. You're not sure if it turns off or not, but you just see the straight hallway going forward.
Yeah, she would turn to Nathaniel and Rodney, and it's hard to tell in the darkness, but in the torchlight you can see 2 points of color on her grayish blue skin on her cheeks. She says, "That was probably a little foolish. I'm sorry about that. But we should keep going, I think."
So why do you live this long? As he bends down to pick up the torch.
That is exactly my sentiment. And she smiles again, and maybe for the first time you realize there's this intense sorrow and almost bitterness to that smile as she turns the other way and starts moving down the hall.
All right. Again, we switch back perspectives. The darkness of the room, you two are standing up. Hilda, you were right. That is it is a door. It's a stone door, but you can feel where it pushes out and would open, but you don't see any mechanism to do it. The scratching had stopped, and you hear Verity behind you fidgeting around with herself, and see her start to stand up, knowing also that you're not alone. What would you like to do?
I'd look over at Verity. "Are you all right?"
And Verity kind of turns somewhat in the direction that she heard. I mean, where she thinks the voice is coming from, and she's like, I can't see a thing. Where are we?"
"I think we're in some kind of cell. There's a door here where I'm at. Do you have any way to make a fire on you? Any flint and steel?"
And at this point, Verity would reach behind her and she'd take off her backpack and she would rustle through it, trying to find by touch alone her lantern and a flask of oil to light. Get some light going in here so she could see what's going on.
Okay. You get a torch lit, and as soon as you catch your bearings, Hilda's right. It is a door, but it doesn't seem to open from in here. You're not sure how you got in here to begin with, but you immediately recognize the two things that you were laying between as two sarcophagi. They're completely sealed and closed. But you swear you heard something.
These are two caskets, is what you're...
Yes. Like the old stone tombs, that you would slide a heavy stone to seal the casket in.
Is there any writing or anything?
No, it's just two plain stone.
Is the door also stone?
Yes, the door is also stone. If you roll me a perception check, either or both of you.
That's a 14.
Okay. Leah?
14.
Yeah, you're not quite sure of how this might open, but you're almost certain at this point this is the way that you were brought in. You can take a guess that the stone slid toward you and is locked in place.
I have a crowbar in my backpack. Verity's going to take that out, and she's going to see if she can maybe wedge it in between the cracks and see if there's any movement to be had.
Okay. Yeah, give me a strength check at disadvantage.
So that'll be a 5.
Yeah, it doesn't budge at all. Both of you feel a little bit of panic starting to set in. Air is just a little too musty in here, so tight that fear starts to take over. How do you want to handle that?
Hilda's gonna start pacing around, kind of going along the walls of the cell, feeling the different stones to see if there's any kind of, maybe like a stone that will push in to open the door. Just, she's trying to push out the fear and keep herself occupied.
All right. Yeah, for the next few minutes, you're just fidgeting along the wall, trying to keep calm, trying to figure out one way to open this chamber that you happen to find yourself in. We zoom back out to the other members of the party. You all come to the end of the hallway, and it opens up into a larger chamber that has on one end kind of an alcove that goes in with a statue, or really a bust, a big bust of a really severe looking face, angular in its features. Eyes look as if they're staring into your soul. You have no idea who or what this might be. But in front of it, you see stains along the floor. Not sure exactly where they might have come from, but it's there in a thick sludge dust in front of the statue. And on the other side, there are 3 doors, 3 archways that are kind of it's hard to say if it was built this way or sealed up this way, where it's a single stone in the center of each archway.
So Granny, who's starting to move a little slower, sweat is beading on her wrinkled face. She looks at the giant bust and she sort of chuckles to herself and is like, "It looks like my husband." And she kind of takes a moment and looks at Nathaniel and Rodney and says, "Well, we have 3 archways. Let's pick one."
Lucky him. Is he still alive?
And she frowns a little at that and just shakes her head as she looks at you, Nathaniel.
Well, probably better for him.
All of you notice the voices are a little clearer in here. They're louder at the very least. What you hear coming, it seems like it's coming from this room, from nowhere in particular. Looking up, you'll see alcoves at the top, like balconies almost, where there are 13 circling the room altogether. And from this room, the echoing finally starts to make a little bit of sense of one must die, one must die, one must die, one must die.
So we 3 hear that, or the 2, Hilda and
You 3.
Are you hearing that too?
I am.
Yes, though it is very hard to hear. You should speak up.
I just wasn't sure if I was hearing things again.
Just the thing you want to hear from someone you're walking alongside in a dark and scary place.
He kind of looks at him with a sidelong. We should probably keep moving.
And Granny nods, again looking at Nathaniel expectantly as she wipes her sweaty brow.
One must die. It will be you.
Now, hold on. I mean, they could be saying one must die with a Y, you know, like one must dye their cloak a new color or something like that. I'm not very good at dyeing, so maybe you, Nathaniel, or perhaps Rodney.
Perhaps it is a poor translation. That is all.
It could be, but let us go.
I want to take a second. I should have done this on the entry in here. Given the combat and looking through this so far, I want to bring all of you guys to level 2 at this point.
Are we rolling?
It's not ominous.
Are we rolling for health, or are we doing average? What do you want to do, DM, for health?
You can. I prefer rolling myself, but it's up to you. If you roll and get lower than the average, you can take the average.
That's not how rolling works.
Oh, I know. I agree.
Shut up, Baron. I rolled really bad, okay?
Take it.
I will not.
Just almost doubled my health, so that's cool. Still at 9 health, but potato, potato.
And yeah, the archways are in front of you, 3, spaced out along this wall. Could I get a perception check from you three?
$17.
That is the third 3 I have rolled today.
Your dice don't like you today.
No, they do not.
Throw them away. Just throw them away.
But they're metal and nice.
Nope. Throw them away.
Nathaniel, you see the middle archway. The dust has been disturbed. It doesn't look as unsettled as the rest of the archways do.
Kneeling down and kind of like rubbing some of the dirt, dust in my fingers, I would, using my torch to peer down this hallway as much as possible. I have reason to believe they came this way.
That is good enough for me. Let us go.
In inspecting, you see 2 stones a little jutted out on each side of the archway, just a little further out than the other 2. You're pretty certain that pushing one or both might accomplish what you're trying to achieve. Yeah, Baron, you playing with your wire like that, I think, is messing with your mic. And Verity and Hilda, you were still in this room, not trying not to panic. Hilda, you said you were trying to attempt something?
Yes. After searching the walls, I assume I didn't find anything of significance.
No.
I'm going to look towards the stone coffins or the casings. Is the lid something I could push off of?
I think that would take a combined strength check for you and I don't know why I just dropped your name. I've been saying it the whole game.
Verity.
Verity. Sorry, brain fart there. I think if you both tried to push at the same time, I think maybe you could move it, but it is too heavy for one.
I'm going to look at Verity. Well, there's nothing on the walls to open up this door. What if we looked in these coffins? Perhaps they're not coffins. Maybe it's an exit of sort.
Guess it does. Yeah, it doesn't hurt to try. Verity still has her crowbar, so she would use that to try to help to give her a little bit of leverage because she's not so strong.
Okay, Leah, roll with advantage.
All right, so I just
roll 2d20 and take the higher.
Okay. The first roll was an 18.
Okay.
And the second was a 17.
I love the sound of that metal dice thudding.
I didn't add anything to that, so.
Okay, yeah, you would add your strength.
Oh, okay.
So 20 would be the higher?
21.
21 would be the higher?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you start to, you feel it give away, and it moves, and as soon as it starts moving, it becomes much easier, and you push it and a loud thud. You 3 outside hear that thud, coming from the left archway. Hilda, you see inside of it a desiccated skeleton, the clothing long gone, the bones almost dust at this point. It has been here a very long time, whoever this happened to have been. The other three, like I said, you heard that thud, and it absolutely catches your attention. Hilda, you would hear some movement outside where they are, and I imagine you would turn your gaze to the door. Both of you would actually. Do you want to call out, or?
Yes. Yes, most definitely.
I would start banging on the door with the crowbar as well.
Yeah. I'm going to start yelling out, "Hey, we're in here."
All right. Verity, you're banging on the stone with your crowbar, and you hear Hilda yelling, trying to get attention. And then you hear her yelp, and she goes silent. As you turn around, you see she's being drugged into the sarcophagus, completely limp. As she enters it, you hear a blood-curdling scream coming from her throat that is loud enough to enter in past the door that the other three are now hearing. You three unmistakably know this as Hilda's voice screaming out in agony.
I'm going to turn and I'm going to race towards where she's disappearing into the sarcophagus. And what do I see?
What you see is the skeleton has grabbed her around the mouth and the chest and has drug her in and is ripping at her face. Her face is just being shredded at this point. Lee, you're actually going to take 2 points of slashing damage there.
Ow.
I would like to bash the skeleton with the crowbar, if I can, without trying not to hit Hilda, of course.
Oh, please hit me. I will get angry.
Yeah, you start to swing and make an attack on me.
So I guess I'm not proficient with a crowbar, is that correct? So that would be a 14.
14, yeah, that's not going to be enough. What do you three do out there?
Yeah, I gotta believe we're booking it through that arch, unless anybody wants to do something else.
It's still sealed up. The door stone is still in place.
Oh, gotcha. I'm sorry. I thought the arches were open.
Mm-mm.
Can I take a perception or to try to see if there's any opening or any way to work on it? Open it?
You also notice here, the same as the other arch, that two stones on either side are stuck out a little bit. You're fairly certain that pushing them will allow the door to slide open. Is my audio okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So I'm gonna, if I can reach both of them, I'm gonna push on them.
Okay. They move with just a little bit of effort. and you can hear the mechanism engage as the stone slides out and starts to open up. Inside, you see a horrific sight of Hilda being dragged into a sarcophagus. You can't tell by what, and Verity looks to be beating her about the head and neck with a crowbar. Screams coming from inside the casket. Unmistakably Hilda.
So yeah, if the way is clear, Granny's gonna run in there with her sword, which is no longer crackling. If that level was counted as a rest, and she's gonna try and see what's going on before she swings, if possible.
Yeah, and Rodney actually is freaking out at this point. He's like, no, not again, no. And you see like his arms, he throws them forward and like this white light just erupts and he throws a sanctuary on Hilda. So for 1 minute, she's going to be warded against an attack or harmful spell. They must make a wisdom saving throw, and on a failed save, they choose a new target or lose the attack or spell. So she's warded for 1 minute.
Nice.
Okay. She's warded. Granny, as you reach the sarcophagus, you notice that it's not Hilda that is being attacked by by Verity. It's a skeleton that is clawing, and at this, Hilda's face and neck are all just ripped up. Her bare shoulders are just a bloody, tattered mess where this thing has scratched and clawed. You see Hilda trying to fight back, but fear has overtaken her, and she hasn't been able to make any kind of actual movement to get up or escape the clutch of this thing.
Yeah, so Granny Blades is going to try and swing her sword in this downward chop if she can so angle it to try and separate the skeleton's arms from its body, like maybe cut them off at the elbows without hitting Hilda if possible, or closer to the body if that needs to happen in order to prevent the blade from catching Hilda as well.
Yeah, make that a roll at disadvantage.
Well, the first was an at 20, but the second was still pretty good. It was a 17.
Okay, yeah, you managed to do it. Your skill with the blade is becoming well known, I guess, at this point. You shatter the arm, the bone just scatters into dust, and Hilda just bounds out of the sarcophagus out of panic and throws herself out and bounces through the arch and finds herself falling into the arms of Nathaniel. Hilda, you would at this point kind of start to come out of the panic that you found yourself in the sarcophagus and become aware of your surroundings for the first time in a minute.
Oh, I'm so glad to see you guys. Hilda kind of just dusts herself off, kind of feeling over her body, like touching her face, winces a little, and just turns back to see what it was that had her.
And as you look into the room again, Verity and Granny are looking down. There's nothing there. The sarcophagus is empty. The whispering has now stopped being whisper, and it is a full chorus of voices speaking in unison now. Nathaniel, hearing this, you would look up, and on the alcoves, shadowy visages of vaguely humanoid shapes are now standing in every balcony, looking down with glowing red eyes, staring straight down into the room. And the voices strongly at this point are in a singular chant of "One must die. One must die. One must die." How do you all react to this?
We all.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was say we all hear this because if Verity hears us, she's going to immediately turn to some random direction with her like a dagger pointing at it. Basically attack whatever is saying this thing.
Yeah, the voices are coming from above in the balconies in the open room with the statue. You do hear it now that the door is open and now that it is completely clear. Seems they're giving you a choice.
So just to clarify, there's an open door that we could potentially go through, but we still hear this chanting of "one must die." It's very loud and everything like that.
Yes.
Where is it coming from? Is it coming from the other?
The balconies above the main room.
Oh, okay.
There are shadowy figures in each balcony. There's 13 of them surrounding this room. Rodney, give me a religion check, sir.
26.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you easily recognize this as a ceremonial sacrifice, a sacrificial room. Whatever the man is that the bust depicts, many sacrifices have been made to his name, or at least to his face, in this room. Bouncing that off of hearing the chant, you put the two together and realize that a sacrifice has to be made here.
Or some great magic will have negative impact on us, hold us for eternity or something.
Well, something bad might happen.
I mean, we could just walk through that door, and Granny kind of gestures with one gauntleted hand towards the open door and actually starts to move towards it at an unhurried pace.
Try it.
Yeah, she'll try and walk through. And as she turns fully away from the group, there's this flicker of disappointment across her face as she approaches the arch.
As you approach the hallway that you came from to enter this room, the voices stop. The shadowy figures are gone. The red eyes disappear back into the shadows. The shadows themselves coalesce into the center of the ceiling and start working their way down the wall towards the hallway that you came into. And from the hallway, you hear crashes from the stonework in the hallways, plaques hitting the floor. A shambling mound of bone and viscera and blood start crawling out from the hallway into the room. I'm going to need everybody to roll initiative.
Three.
10.
I'll Alternatively, we could just kill Granny Blades and then I could just heal her. I mean,
Stop metagaming, Dave.
we could trick him.
An unknown voice says from the shadows, "Quit metagaming."
Stop metagaming.
I'm gonna need you guys to roll perception to see if you heard that.
And 1. All right, yeah, this thing is moving really slowly, but taking up the entire entrance, going back from the way you came, is pushing its way in like just a blob of viscera and bone, reaching out with small tendering blood, crawling its way into the room. We're going to open up with Rodney. You're at the top of the initiative order. How would you like to move forward, sir?
Yeah, he's sitting there calculating this in his mind as the blood is drained from his face as he realized what has to happen, and he's trying to remember all that he can of this ritual, and if there's any possible alternative to it. But you said that something physically was coming into the room? Or was
this mound of flesh and bone is like
And it
working
looks-
its way from the hallway that you came in.
Does it look like it's undead, or?
Oh yeah, most definitely. It doesn't look like anything that a rational mind would even want to try to comprehend. This thing is a monstrosity of the most horrific kind.
Okay. And so basically he stands in the center of the room and he begins moving his hands together, calling forth the energy of the divinity within him as he expels a channel divinity. So any undead within 30 feet have to make a DC 13 saving throw, or they will be turned for 1 minute.
Would that be charisma that I'm rolling? Save?
Wisdom saving throw.
Wisdom saving throw? Yeah, that's a 15.
Okay, so they do save.
Okay. So it keeps coming at you.
Okay.
All right. Nathaniel.
Walking into the cellar, Nathaniel had loaded his musket, which he is now kind of steadily aiming at this amorphous blob descending from the ceiling. And I'm going to fire. That is a 15 on the die for a total of 19.
Hits.
All right. So I also do fire damage with my musket. So I'm doing a total of 10 damage piercing and 3 damage to fire.
So piercing damage is going to be the normal 10. We're going to double that fire damage, though. So it's 10 minus 16. Okay.
So I don't know what exactly I was aiming for. I figure anywhere was good. So as I shoot, there's like probably a gross splash of flesh that probably shouldn't look the way it did.
And a gross sizzling of the flesh that just smells god awful. Invades the entire room. The heat from the round did more damage than you thought it should, but you're very thankful that something hurts this thing. And move down to Hilda.
What do I see? I'm sorry.
Okay. Imagine a bunch of skin and muscle, blood and bone were all just mashed together in like this big blob thing. It reaches out from within itself at like tentacles of the same stuff and is like pulling itself along the floor, entering the room.
Ew.
Perfect reaction.
Okay. How close am I to it?
You are on the other side of the room, so maybe 20 feet.
Can I run over to it and attack it, or am I?
Of course you can.
That's what I want to do.
Okay.
Pull out my axes and just slash into the fleshy blob. $16.
Hits.
Ooh.
You slash into this thing.
Yep. Six.
6 damage.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and do it again with my other axe. I mean, is there like a face to this thing?
No, there's no face.
So it's just like a blob.
Yep.
Okay. Go ahead and try to bury my. Huh?
Are you adding your strength? You're raging, yeah?
No, I didn't add
Okay.
any raging. I'm not raging right now. I didn't feel like there was a need.
Okay.
Is that?
No, that's fine.
Okay. I got an 18.
That hits.
21.
That hits.
Okay. 4 damage.
Okay. So you all see Hilda just gashing and slashing into this blood. From there, Verity, how would you like to proceed?
So Verity would like to pull out her short bow and shoot the thing, and while it's distracted, add her sneak attack to it. Because of Hilda distracting it by being right there.
Yeah, teamwork.
That's a big old 10 on the die I rolled for total.
Plus...
Sorry?
Plus...
No, sorry, a total of 10.
Oh, a total of 10. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see the arrow like go into it, but it hit in a way that just doesn't do anything to it. It makes no notice at all of anything you've done. From here, Granny.
So seeing her companions rushing towards this thing or shooting at this thing, Granny smiles again, that wide, eager grin, and she sort of sheathes her sword for the moment and again reaches towards her still blood-soaked, bandaged arm, takes some more blood up, and then let me see what the range is on this real quick. Is this thing within 30 feet of me?
Yes.
Okay. So she kind of flings the blood out at this thing, and as she does, she mutters these words under her breath in a language that nobody else probably understands. I'm pretty sure she can speak Abyssal. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So the droplets of blood, as they fly through the air, they ignite bright red as this creature is now linked to her, and similarly, her body is surrounded by red flames, and then she is going to move forward and try to swing her blade. I rolled an 11 on the die. Does that hit?
Plus what?
Or excuse me, 11. Just straight 11. Total 11.
Just straight 11? Okay,
Yeah.
No, that does not hit.
So yeah, she's probably too distracted from the fact that, she's now surrounded by this harmless aura of red fire, and she swings with her blade but misses. So essentially, if this creature attacks her, then it is going to take half of the damage it inflicts on her in necrotic.
Oh, okay. Excellent. And with that, This thing lunges forward at Hilda and makes 2 attacks. Leah, you're slammed with this just meaty tentacle that comes out and side of your body. Causing 12 points of damage to you. Slams you and throws you off to the side. Hits you extremely hard. Remember, you're level 2.
Okay. I'm gonna let out a groan. Where did it? Just in the side?
Yeah, it reached out and these 2 tentacles came out and tried to slam into you. One missed and one hit you.
Did it knock me over?
But not off your feet, but it pushed you off to the side a little bit. You hadn't been hit like that in a long time.
Oh.
Actually, it needs to make a wisdom saving throw of DC 13 because she still has a sanctuary on her.
Oh, yes, she does.
So that lasts for a minute. So on a failed save, they must choose a new creature to attack
Oh, okay.
or lose the attack.
She failed, or the thing failed. So that's a negative. You don't have 12 points of damage. Thanks for reminding me of that, Dave.
Oh, I don't?
No.
So I didn't. Okay.
Because you still had sanctuary on you. So basically, I would imagine as it hit you, it probably got repelled by this divine light that's still.
Did it hit itself?
Well, it can't hit itself. It just has to make an attack against someone else if it fails its wisdom.
Stop hitting yourself. Okay, so it launches its attack instead on Granny, and profusely misses on both attacks. We are back up to Rodney. That was a good call. Thanks, Rod. Thanks, Dave.
No problem. And actually feeling a little bit of assurance from the fact that he's seeing the positivity of his works and his deity in true form, he rears back and throws a ray of frost at it.
Okay.
So let's see if I can hit.
Yeah.
That's going to be a 16.
Absolutely hits.
Excellent. So that's a total of 3 points of damage. Not much, but it is reduced speed for 10 feet per round now.
Oh, okay.
For 1 round.
Okay. Okay. And here we are at Nathaniel.
Basically, as soon as Nathaniel fired, he dropped to his knee to reload another shot, and that takes a full action. So I'm going to use my action surge to fire as soon as I finish loading.
Okay. Cool.
I got a total of 15.
For the attack?
Yep.
All right. Yeah, you hit.
Perfect. With this musket shot, I am doing a total of 5 damage piercing and 3 fire.
We're going to double that fire damage again. So that'll be 6. All right. Yeah. Again, that round sinks into the flesh and sizzles as it goes in. The thing rears back a little bit as we come into Hilda. That's your attack again.
Excellent. Okay. Well, do I see any of these tentacle arms, or is it just like a blob when it's not attacking?
It's like this amorphous thing where the tentacles will shoot out from really any angle on this thing.
Are there any extended right now?
I mean, it's reaching out trying to hit Granny Blades. So yeah, you see those.
I want to try to cut those.
Okay, make an attack.
Can I rage?
Yeah,
I'm gonna go ahead and get mad, and
get mad.
I'm mad. 15.
15 absolutely hits.
Awesome. 9.
Okay.
And gonna take my other axe and kind of do the same thing to the extended tentacle thing.
Attack that tentacle.
14.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you slash and hack into this thing, causing a pretty good amount of damage to this thing. You see parts of it just fall off and fall completely dead, not moving. The part that wasn't cut off slams back into the mound as it tries to move forward, still oozing into the room. And,
Damage for that last attack?
huh?
Did you need my...
Oh, I thought the 14 was the damage.
No, that was...
Oh, okay. The second attack does not hit.
Okay.
Sorry, I misunderstood there.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Verity, we're back to you.
Again, using the fact that the foe is a little bit distracted because of Hilda, I'm going to shoot another arrow at it and hopefully hit it better. Yeah, no, not going to happen. I'm going to use my inspiration to reroll. Okay, how about a 17?
17 hits.
Okay. Oh. Oh, yeah. 14 points. Well, I guess it's actually 8 points of piercing and then 6 points of sneak attack.
I'm sorry, repeat that.
8 points of piercing and then the 6 from the sneak attack.
Okay, excellent. Okay, yeah, you launched into this thing, doing a fair amount of damage to it. It again, pieces are just flying off in all directions. Blood is splattering the lot of you now. Just covered in this foul-smelling black blood as all of you are hacking into this thing. Granny, blood hitting your face. You can taste the foulness on your lips. How would you like to take your turn?
So feeling this blood splatter across her lips, she actually licks it and just starts muttering again, "Come on, come on, come on, come on." And then she is going to, I want to do something, DM, and if you want me to like spend an inspiration or whatever. So essentially there's something I can do. I can amplify my blood maledict, the thing that causes the shambling mound to take damage when I do. So that instead of taking half damage, it takes the same amount of damage it deals to me, and it ignores necrotic resistance. So if it's resistant to necrotic damage, it still takes that full hit. Would you allow me to do that, or?
For sure.
Because typically it has to be done when you invoke the curse in the first place, and I didn't realize that was the case.
No, it's fine. I will ask you to spend your point of inspiration to do it, but
perfectly
yeah,
fine.
I'll
So So as Granny tastes this blood, the flickering red flames around her body suddenly ignite even brighter to the point where she looks like this walking crimson pyre. And again, she's not burning. Nothing's burning. Even the shambling mound is not burning, but they are clearly linked in some way. And then she's going to attack with her sword. And she rolled a 19.
Oh, that hits.
And 10 points of slashing damage to the creature.
All right. Oof. Excellent. All right, now it's its turn. It reaches out, slamming into Verity here. Verity, that's going to be a 24 and a 19 to hit on both. Okay, that's going to be 15 damage. And you find yourself engulfed in this thing's grasp. It's as if when the tentacles reach out and slam into you, they kind of just morph and pull you into the blob itself. You are now grappled. And at the start of your round, you need to make a Constitution save or be squeezed a little bit more and swallowed by this thing. And that
Who was
and
that? That
that
just
was
got taken?
Verity.
Okay.
So the rest of you see this thing grab and try to swallow her as she screams in pain, being drug into this mound here. All right.
Someone knock on the door.
Yep. Hold on a second.
Hold on. Sorry, guys.
Verity, no!
What's wrong?
Well, they look like wasps.
Hello. How are you? Hi, baby. Yeah. He's in a service and not coming now.
No rushing.
All right, guys. I apologize for that. I'm back.
Sorry. So that hit was on Verity, you said?
Yes, that was 16 points of damage.
Oh,
Okay.
And you are grappled.
So Verity, as it, so it was a tentacle that came and grabbed her?
Yeah, it was two that slammed into her and kind of swallowed her and pulled her in.
So what people would see is as soon as that happened, her body just kind of goes limp.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So even at level 2, that was all of your HP?
Yeah, my max is 13. And I was a little bit hurt still.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, as she screams, the tentacles grab her and pull her in, and she ceases movement and just kind of goes limp. And with that, we're back up to Rodney. Rodney, you watching horror as Verity is damn near swallowed whole by this thing.
Yeah, and he's already shaking from the whole experience. It's freaking him out, and so she's actually squished up against the chest of this thing, right, with the tentacles. So he rushes up to her and he puts his hands. What would you say? Which part of her body is exposed?
Just a hand at this point. It's pretty much got her.
Okay, so I run up there and I grab her hand, and as a bonus action, I'm going to use Shield of Faith. That's going to give her a +2 to her AC. And unfortunately, the Sanctuary would have dropped too after she attacked, but just recall that it's probably dropped since you've attacked. But regarding Hilda, and then I'm going to cast. So I've cast Shield of Faith. She gets +2 to her AC for the duration. It's up to 10 minutes, and then I'm going to also cast. That's a bonus action. So then my regular action is going to be Cure Wounds.
Okay.
And that is going to be a total of 8 hit points back.
Okay. Verity, you feel the breath of life come back into you, only to find in horror that you're being swallowed by this thing. So you're not sure if he actually did you a favor right here, as the bones are grinding down into you, squeezing the breath that was just put back into you right back out. Nathaniel, you see this going on. Rodney is trying desperately to save Verity. Looks like he's grabbed her hand, and she grabbed onto him, so you know she's alive, but she is still very much in the grasp of this thing. What would you like to do?
I feel like Nathaniel has noticed that my musket fire is doing significant damage to it. But unfortunately, it takes me around to reload, so I'm going to do that.
Okay. Nate is reloading his rifle. Hilda, you see Verity being swallowed whole by this thing.
Can I, does she have any body parts like still sticking out, or is she just completely?
You see Rodney holding onto her hand, and it looks like she grabbed onto him, and he pulled a little bit, and her face just barely made it out from this thing's body, for lack of a better term. It is screaming in agony.
Okay, I guess I'm just gonna continue to attack it. I mean, so I'll go ahead and hit it with my axe. 18.
That hits.
Okay. Six.
Oh, it's far.
And my right hand, I'm gonna slash with my axe again into the mush. 14.
14?
Yep.
Okay. That misses.
Blast.
Oh, poor boy. All right. So Hilda is hacking and slashing at this thing, trying to cut into it to see if she can reach Verity. Verity, you feel Rodney holding on to your hand. You feel his magic bringing you back from the brink of death. I need you to make a Constitution save at a DC 14.
I got a 15 on the die, and I have no bonus.
All right. So you manage to wiggle and hold yourself steady as the thing tries to squeeze you. It doesn't manage to do any more damage to you. So you're still alive and holding on for dear life. Chance, it is now your shot.
So seeing that Rodney is helping Verity and that Hilda is just hacking away, Chance swings her blade around in a very impressive flourish for someone her age, and she just says, "Do you know why they call me Granny Blades? Because you shouldn't ignore your elders." And she tries to hit this thing. However, with a 10, I'm pretty sure she misses. So the blade just goes completely wide. And by this point, she's breathing hard and sweating and covered in blood. I mean, she's not doing well despite this link that she has established between her and this creature.
Excellent. Yeah, you don't exactly like swing wide. You swing into the thing, and the flesh kind of like parts and slams out, attacking you immediately afterwards, and hits you with one. Well, hold on. Does a 15 hit you?
No, my AC is 16.
Okay. So yeah, it hits you with one.
And remember, it's taking an equal amount of damage to me in necrotic, regardless of resistance.
Yes, and both of you, blast, take 12 points of damage.
Nice. So I imagine, like, as the thing hits Granny Blades, and she smiles for a minute before the impact, and as it hits in the exact same place where the shambling mound hit her, there is all of a sudden a wound in its own body as the fire winks out and she staggers back.
Yeah, as you stagger back, the fire ignites around this mound, and it spreads and seeps into all the cracks and the pores, and it starts to shake. Verity, I need you to make another Constitution save, please.
Oh, that's a 1.
Okay, so Rodney, you feel her hand grip at you. You see her face pleading with you to help pull her out.
Can I cut you off for just a second?
Yes.
Would you allow me to share my inspiration with her as I'm holding her hand and give her my inspiration for that role?
Ooh, that sounds cool.
You know what? Yes.
Okay, so I'm basically muttering prayers and in between poetry and in between barking at myself because I'm talking to some unknown figure there, and I'm just fervently trying, and I pass on this somehow, maybe divinely passed on in the ability. So go ahead and please take that con roll again.
I rolled a 7. It's better, but
You lock eyes with her, Rodney, and you pray to your God. You pray that he can save her, and she tries to pull herself out. And as you stare at each other pleadingly, the flame licks over and face in her hand too. You rear back in pain as the flame goes into this mound, and it explodes in a gout of viscera and blood covering all of you, knocking you down, Rodney. And as you stand up, as you sit up from the blast and wipe the gore from your face, you see the ripped apart body that was your companion of Verity, not moving, but the mound is defeated.
Oh, what? Is she dead?
Yeah, Verity did not make it. The Constitution save failed on her, and as the thing exploded, took her with it.
Oh.
It only needed 1, so sorry, Karen. And
you all sit up, noticing, or sit up and wipe the gore from your face. The gore has spread across the entire chamber. The blood separates itself from the flesh and the bone, and in a pool works its way to the bust of the face of the man that stands in the center of the room. And it's as if the statue itself drinks it dry, and all that's left is brown, dusty, chalk-like substance and ribbons of flesh.
Is Verity's body somewhere?
What's left of it is.
So I think Granny Blades, watching the blood flow, would almost lose interest in it as she looks over at Verity's body, and her face is just stone as she walks over and she kneels down by the body. Karen, does Verity have any kind of like trinkets or like an amulet or any sort of important trinkets on her person that you're aware of?
Yeah, she has a small, I guess it would be like a necklace that she was wearing, and it might have you might see it now that you know she's just lying there dead. It's a picture of it's a shape of a bird. Let's say a hummingbird kind of picture.
So Granny Blades would take up this necklace with the image of a hummingbird hanging from it, and she sort of it's almost like she's trying to crush it in her hand, but she doesn't, and she just very quietly says, "That was my death. You took my death." And then she takes the necklace and just shoves it into one of her pouches and stands up, wipes herself off, and starts heading towards the door that led us into this room originally.
You can almost hear Rodney as he's looking down at the lifeless eyes. He says, "For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Verity, and the stars never rise. But I see the bright eyes of the beautiful Verity. And so all the night tide, I lie down by the side, in her sepulture by the trees, in her tomb by the side of by the trees." And he kneels down and closes her eyes. And sort of is quiet. He doesn't say anything more.
And silence befalls the room, and one by one you follow Granny out down the hallway, noticing all the tombs that were built into the walls of gods know how many victims of this chamber to make such a monstrosity. And working your way back up the stairs, all of you gasp a breath of fresh air for the first time, and as long as you can remember in this night. And looking over the edge of the hill, you see it falls off to a kind of cliff that leads into a valley. Below, you see a large body of forest and a road in the distance leading to a small darkened town. And behind the town rises a high peak, and silhouetted by the moon is an eerie castle. And that's where we're going to end.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, that was a fun game.
I'm very appreciative of every single one of you. That was a blast for me to run. Thank you so much. And thank you anybody that's watching this now or watching in the future. I highly appreciate it. If you enjoyed the story or any singular character or any part of it, please hit a like. Help me out. With that, we're going to do some quick outros, and we're going to cut the broadcast after that. So starting off on your right and my left, Mr. Dave Hubble.
That was a fun game, Jason. Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for playing. I'd like to thank Edgar Allan Poe for the poetry this evening, and as I bastardized it as I saw fit. Rodney was interesting to play, and again, I hope I didn't come off too awkward or weird, but that's kind of the way he is. So that was fun. If you so inclined, after you hit like and subscribe to Smith's Forge here, take a moment and check out Mornblade Gaming, and as well as the other individuals who have channels here. I think you won't be disappointed. Thanks again, guys.
Thank you, Dave. On to Mr. Osorio.
Wow, you got the last name right on your first try. I'm impressed. Not a lot of people can do that. Yes, I am Jason Osorio. I was playing the lovely tiefling Chance, Granny Blades, who I think would actually do pretty well in Ravenloft if this is indeed what it is, since that word was never actually said. But, you know, I think she'd do pretty well for herself, honestly. Yeah, man, this is a great game. You have an amazing poker face because we're all like, oh yeah, missed, it's Ravenloft, but you're like, nah, man, I mean, it could be whatever. So really well done. And again, thank you to all the excellent players as well. And yeah, you know, if you want to check out my my channel, it is Concepts and Characters. You know, again, mainly just a place to store games that I've played in. So this game will definitely be up there once it's uploaded. And yeah, this was a great time, man. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much, Jason. Karen.
That was amazing. That was awesome. I really, really, really enjoyed that. I'm sad I died. That was awesome. It's so good. And Dave's poetry. Yeah, you got me in the end there. I was speechless. So thank you guys. This is awesome.
Thank you so much, Karen. And on to Leah.
Hey, I played Hilda, the barbarian. I really enjoyed the game. I feel like it's, I don't know, I feel like this is really helping me not be so filled with anxiety doing more of these, so it's pretty cool. I do have a channel. It's called Smith Clan TV. If you guys want to see the crazy shenanigans that my family gets into, it's not a gaming channel, so well, my son likes to talk about games, but yeah, it was awesome, and I had fun with all of you guys.
Thank you, Leah. And now on finally to Mr. Baron Cantrell.
Hello, everybody. I'm Baron from RWD Gaming. I played Nathaniel. I had a blast. This was definitely very spooky, eldritch horror-esque. I dig it. I had a blast.
All right. Thank you, Baron. And again, thank you to everybody here playing with me and all of you viewers out there in the interwebs. I am Jason. I have this channel here, Smith Forge Gaming. I hope to see you again at some future games. All right. Have a good day.